My next recommendation is a silly one, but they've rebooted Night Court.
I can't. I'm sorry. I can't.
Hey everyone, welcome to Long Story Short, the podcast. I'm Megan.
I'm Wendy.
And we're your best friends on the internet. It's time for our monthly Pop Culture Club episode where we share everything we're reading, watching, and listening to.
You might be thinking, wasn't there just a Pop Culture Club episode a couple weeks ago? And you're right. But it's because of the holiday and when we started in January.
Sure, the January episode was a week later than it might normally be. And it's probably going to feel like that again because February is a short month, but nevertheless, we've got a lot to say this month outside of the podcast. You can find us on Instagram, on TikTok. We are at Megan and Wendy.
You can also email us, meganandwendy@gmail.com.
And for just $5 a month, you can become a member of our Patreon community where we share regular episodes called What's Good, which is a more unfiltered Megan and Wendy. And last week we put out an episode called The Petty Complaint Department, and it is still one of my favorite pieces of content I've ever created.
Yeah.
Super entertaining, if I do say so myself.
I mean, there's a whole rant that Megan goes on like her head was going to explode about almonds, guys.
It comes around to almonds.
It is not to be missed. It is not to be missed.
Speaking of reaching out to us, I would like to share a message we received from a listener after last week's episode about small changes with a big impact.
I'm here for it.
Tara says, a few things I wanted to share after listening to today's episode. I have these cup holder trash cans in my car, and they've made all the difference. No mint, gum, straw, granola bar, receipt trash in the doors.
Ooh, that's what I need.
I am a heavy user of Amazon Subscribe and Save and Chewy auto refills. I get an email before anything is actually going to order in case I need to update, but then pet meds, vitamins, furnace filters, etc. just arrive at my door.
Love it.
Related to writing lists or using Google Calendar, I also love the Alarmed app, which I add any tiny little thing I need to do when I think about it. Make an appointment. Don't forget the mouse when you're going to the office. Return that library book. And then I get a reminder when I need to do something.
Don't forget your mouse when you're going to the office.
She works from home, so I imagine she's taking her favorite mouse home with her, and then she doesn't have a second one in the office.
Does she work in a laboratory? Guys, I get it. It's a mouse for her computer, but it just is funny.
Yes.
Okay, these are great ideas. I especially love the subscribe and save. That leans into my, like, when I do that big, like, Amazon grocery shop for like this season because I don't want to have to go buy laundry detergent in the middle of a busy week or whatever. You know, I just need to like automate my life a little bit more. But yeah, I like it.
The air filters one is great because every time I think about changing my air filters, it's at least another month before I get around to going to Home Depot and buying them.
They have them at Target too.
They never have the sizes I need at Target. We have 3 different size air filters in my house. It is dumb.
Yeah.
Builders of the world. Streamline. So I have learned my sunscreen lesson.
Did you get sunburned?
I did a couple of weeks ago. I admitted that I've been a little lazy about wearing sunscreen as part of my daily skincare routine if I feel like I'm not going to be doing anything. And I would not recommend that. And I'm like pro sunscreen. In the summer, I'm like head to toe all the time. Constantly. I keep it everywhere. But I don't go outside a lot. So I've made that excuse. But you're right. I'm in my car. And then the other day, it was a sunny day, but it was cold, but it felt nice in the sun. And I sat outside and I did get sunburned.
Really?
I was there for like 25 minutes. And
wow.
I use a retinol, which makes your face very sensitive. So I have learned my lesson and I am now sunscreening back in my routine. And post-January, mostly no spend. Let's call it a low spend. I made a big long list of all the things I didn't buy. And if you want to hear that list, you can listen to our Patreon.
Yes.
But I have added to that list re-upping my favorite sunscreen. I'm just going straight for the Supergoop. I'm not messing around. It's ridiculous. Use the one I like, spend the money. I have a Sephora gift card. So I'm very excited to go to Sephora this week. And I have 3 things that I'm going to buy.
Oh, I can't wait to hear. I'm sure I'll be easily influenced.
Yeah.
I have an update for you.
Yes.
Remember how you suggested a couple weeks ago that I put my bathroom nighttime routine products downstairs?
I do.
I will let you know. And I joked about buying a tote. I did actually buy a little tote in the Target dollar spot
Yeah, and I did give you a hard time.
Yes, but I filled it up yesterday.
Yes, and it's an appropriate tote for skincare because it's
Yeah.
plastic, easy to wash out if anything spills. It kind of has like that college shower caddy feel to it.
It does. Yep.
But I like it. It's perfect for that.
Yeah. So it's in progress. I got home real late last night. Did not wash my face, even though the stuff was downstairs. Skincare dry down. What is this? What is
So last week we shared listener Michelle's advice about letting your skincare dry down between every step. And that is not something I typically do. I don't, because I'm lazy. I don't have the time. I just go step by step. But I have, since the sharing of that tip, so for about a week now, I let every step of my skincare morning and night dry down. Do I think it makes a difference in the effectiveness of my skincare? I don't have any idea. Do I think it makes a difference in my makeup perhaps lasting longer throughout the day? I do think so. And this will become a bigger issue in the summer when my skin gets, let's call it dewier.
Okay. All right.
But I gotta tell you, my routine looks like this. I wash in the morning, I wash my face in the shower, I get out, first layer,
Immediately.
And then I'm like brushing my hair, putting on deodorant, brushing my teeth, second layer. I've gotten to the point where in between I'm like doing my eye makeup before I do my face makeup so that I can extend the time.
Yeah.
'Cause I don't have a lot of time in the morning,
Right.
but I'm doing every single thing I can in between steps.
It's not like you're leisurely have like hours to.
I leave the house
together.
at 7 a.m.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I hear
Anyway.
you. I have my own PSA that I'd like to share with people. I think I've talked about my crazy ass dog here on the podcast, Roxy. She's our pandemic dog. She got into some homemade chocolate fudge yesterday that my daughter had in her bedroom. Oh no. So that's one thing I didn't include in the conversation with you yesterday. My mother-in-law made this fudge for my daughter for her birthday because my daughter loves it. And we constantly tell her, you're not allowed to have food in your room. You're not allowed to have food in your room because we have these dogs who are like scavengers.
Yeah.
They're like looking for food all the time. And so yesterday she ate about 20 1-inch square pieces of fudge.
was it milk chocolate fudge?
It was made with semi-sweet chocolate.
Okay.
And my research showed me that like that falls in like the middle. It's
Yes.
not dark. It's not milk.
Right.
So, but it is cause for concern.
Yes.
And this dog eats everything. Birds, dirt, rocks, like so-
AirPods.
everything. So I was like, well, let's just wait it out. We'll see what happens. And before I know it, this dog just projectile vomits everywhere. Fudge. It was so bad. It was everywhere. Twice on our rug that we had to clean, and on the wood floor, and on the stairs. And I called poison control.
Animal poison control.
ASPCA poison control cost me $95 because it's not free.
I've done that before too. They've raised their prices.
Is not free. But however, I did mention this to my husband. She told me, she said, there is a fee for this consult. I agreed. She then told me what protocol to follow. And then she said, now it's time for the billing. I could have easily been like,
Peace.
goodbye.
Yeah.
But, you know, I wasn't going to do that. But I wonder if they do that for a reason. Like, not everybody can pay $95.
Right. That's a good point. They'd rather you have the information.
Right.
And hope that the majority of people will be good citizens.
Right. Exactly.
That's a great service because $95 is going to be less than what it costs to go to the vet.
And then
guaranteed.
we did end up at the vet
Yes.
too. So the poison control was very helpful. I gave her all the information. She put me on hold. She had to do some calculations because that's what you have to do with like the weight of the dog and how much they were consumed and how long I had been. And she just was like, don't let the dog drink any water for at least an hour. And if she continues to vomit, then you need to call the vet. So we waited an hour, then we gave her some water because she was very thirsty. You know, you get really thirsty after you get sick,
Sure.
right? And immediately it comes up again. So my husband ended up taking her to the emergency vet last night.
Keep in mind, it's Sunday, of course, that this happens.
Yes, because our regular vet is closed. It ended up costing us under $500.
Which I think is a win.
It is a win because I thought it was going to be way more than that. And I thought she was going to have to stay the night.
Yeah. She was available to come home last night.
She was free to come home last night. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, that's a happy ending. We can never plan for these things, right? There's never a good time for it. But when it happens, it's always It's like you're worried about it, and then once you get to the point where there's like a solution and a path, then it becomes like annoying and frustrating, right?
Yeah, especially because like the vet is far from our house and it was raining and you have a dog that's vomiting. So now you gotta put this dog in your car and who knows if the dog is gonna vomit in the car.
Yeah, did
and
she?
No, she didn't.
Oh, good job.
But yeah, and now we're dealing with the other end because so much sugar was in the fudge. So God, guys, it's been a ride.
It's been a ride.
Yeah.
Look, when it rains, it pours. I had to have my car towed away from my house this morning. I had to drive my husband to work so I would have a car to drive to pick up our children, and then had to call and have my car towed where it is currently being hopefully fixed today. So we'll be back and have 2 cars tomorrow. But
Why can't things just go smoothly?
this is 2 weeks in a row we've had car troubles.
I know.
So
I know. I'm real tired.
yes, you are.
Can you hear it in my voice?
No, you don't sound tired and you don't look tired.
Oh, you're so sweet because I feel like my
But
face is like dragging on the floor.
I hear you.
I've been to 3 concerts in 4 days. And at the airing of this episode, I will have been to my 4th concert. And it's for the youth. Yeah. Like I should have known like the first 2 back-to-back nights, like the third was going to put me in a coffin.
Sure.
Like I'm so
At least you had one night off. Did you sleep in a little bit yesterday morning?
Yes. All Saturday afternoon, I laid around the house, took a 3-hour nap. It was wonderful. Yesterday morning, I puttered around, did some laundry, but I'm real tired.
Yeah, I hear you because last night we went out. Well, you and I went to the same concert one night, but the night before, my family and I went to a Laker game. So we had 2 nights in LA. We don't live in LA.
Yeah.
2 late after midnight bedtimes. And Friday morning, because I still had to get up at 6 a.m. both days. I'll tell you, Friday, it was one of those like my eyes were burning. I felt like vaguely nauseated all day long. And like there was no drinking involved. I was just tired.
Yeah,
just
tired.
Felt terrible.
Oh my gosh. Well, I gotta tell you, I felt a little like a jerk because I took my daughter to a bunch of these Harry Styles concerts, right? It's like the only thing it was recently her birthday. It's the only thing that she's wanted to do. I was like, yeah, let's go for it. We love going to concerts together. Like I love it myself. I love that my daughter loves it. And like, it's something that we can share together. Right. And I had like posted something on Instagram and I was like joking, like #funmom or something like that, which is a joke. You know, it's a joke because I'm not fun.
But you are being fun right now.
In that moment,
Sure.
right? And then somebody messaged me and they're like, Wendy, can you be my mom? And which was funny. I go, I know. I'm like, it's a jerk move. Like, and she's like, no, it's nice. I'm glad you're creating these memories with your daughter. But I was like, I'm not trying to be like braggy on the internet about it. Like, I just want to share, like, we are sharing this like really great mother-daughter time together. Anyway, I just felt like a jerk though.
Yeah, let it go.
Okay.
I don't think there's a way around that if you're sharing like a fun moment around feeling that way.
Yeah.
Someone's going to take it the wrong way, but let it go.
I don't think anybody took it the wrong way.
You weren't like, I'm Harry Styles and you're not.
Yeah, I wasn't trying to do that.
I saw your post and none of them felt braggy.
Thank you.
Just sharing what you're doing.
Here we
it's
are.
fun. I follow people on the internet who I want to see what they're doing in their life. So share away.
Okay.
Speaking of sharing, we're going to take a quick break and share everything we're reading, watching, and listening to. It's time for Pop Culture Club, and we are going to kick it off by jumping right into what we have been watching lately.
And I'm going to complain that there has not been a lot of new releases out.
So last week, in our up top segment of our episode, I said I am bored. I'm not interested in watching any new television. And then since then, I have now found a bunch of new television.
I just feel like it's been a little dry. However, I did read today that Love is Blind is rumored to return early February.
All right.
Buckle up, because you know, Megan and I love that show, and I'm sure we'll be talking about it quite a bit.
Yes.
I'm going to start with a movie that I know you heard of because it was talked about on Jeff Lewis Live a lot.
Yeah.
It was a movie called Barbarian. Came out around Halloween time. I watched it this weekend.
Did you enjoy it?
I found the beginning quite terrifying.
Okay.
And I was like, this is not a movie for Megan.
No.
Nope. Don't even spend your time watching it, Megan. You won't like it. And then it got kind of cheesy towards the end.
Okay.
But if you like mysteries, scary things living underground
Oh, yeah.
in your house that you might not know about. And I had to Google a bunch of articles about this movie because on IMDb, they had, first of all, let me just say this. I like a spoiler. Like, I want to know what's coming, especially with like a scary movie. It does not ruin it for me. It like makes me feel more prepared. And so I wanted to find out like where the scary parts of this movie were so I could know that it was coming. And a lot of the reviews on IMDb were like, this is a great movie or this is a horrible movie. And I was like, what? Why is it so polarizing, right? And so I read these articles and it was like, it's such a like a fantastic movie because it's about misogyny. And I was like, oh, like now I see it when I read about it. I like, oh, I can see here like what we're talking about, like the greater theme of the movie. But there's still some scary stuff. And I ended up having a nightmare the night that I watched it.
No.
Where it was like my in-laws were selling all their stuff and then they had something scary living downstairs.
Oh, no.
It was not funny. But if you like horror movies, and it wasn't even that horror. It wasn't like gory or anything. It was just like
Jump scares?
jump scare.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like creaky doors opening and like you think people are behind you and like, you know, that kind of stuff. Like, but not for you, Megan.
Not for me.
Letting you know. Next up is, for me, a reality competition TV show called Traitors on Peacock. Quite enjoy it. My husband and I watch it. All the episodes are out now, so I'm trying. We've only seen like the first 3 episodes because it's like an hour long. We don't get to watch it all the time. It's so good. They have like a mix of like reality celebrities and then real people. And the show is... there's a group of people and 3 people are traitors and you kind of like have to figure out who they are. It's very good.
Oh, fun.
I really like it a lot. And the host is Alan Cumming.
Oh.
Do you know who that is?
I do.
He's great. He's great as the host. Very entertaining. Next up for me, you guys, you know, we have a Hallmark podcast, right?
We do.
And I'm here to tell you that everybody should be watching a new series that launched just 3 weeks ago called The Way Home.
Yeah.
It is so not Hallmarky.
Agree.
It's really good, right?
It's fantastic.
It has Andy McDowell in it, Kyler Lee. It's a little bit of time travel, but a lot of mystery. And it's set in 1999 and present day. So if you're a 90s teen like we were, there's a lot of like, it pulls up a lot of like weird feelings of just,
Yeah.
it's really good.
I think it's surprisingly good. I'm pleased with how much I'm enjoying it. It doesn't feel like a chore to watch it.
Right.
And we're recapping, not just reviewing, but we're recapping every episode on Wednesdays on our Girls Gone Hallmark feed. And we've gotten some feedback that I've really liked that has, one person has said like it's aided their enjoyment of the show because we talk about things that they didn't think about. And another person said it made them like the show more thinking about it from our perspective. So if you want to listen to our recap before watching the show, give you an idea if you're interested in something like that. Our recap, oh, it's raining. Our recap does include spoilers because we cover everything that happens in the episode.
It does. But it's a good show.
It's a great
really
show.
Enjoy it. Now, on the totally opposite side of the spectrum, I just finished season 3 of the L Word Generation Q on Showtime. I love the show. This is like a reboot of the original.
Is this a recent season that you just watched?
Yeah, it just concluded on Showtime. What they do so well is that there are actors and characters from the original run of the show in this show, but with a whole bunch of new characters. And it's just really good. It's just really, really good. They have a lot of very realistic and hard to watch themes, you know, infertility and addiction but mixed with like funny stuff. Like it's just really good. I enjoy it quite a bit. Rosie O'Donnell is on it.
Oh, yeah? I'm a
And
big fan of Rosie O'Donnell.
you are?
Yes.
She was it's funny. I don't know. I used to love Rosie in the day, like when on Rosie's show. For some reason though, she got like a bad rap when she went on The View.
Well, I think because she isn't afraid to like push back and she is pretty progressive and she and Elizabeth Hasselbeck didn't always get along. And So I think that was kind of in the early days, maybe, of women calling out bullshit.
Right.
And I think maybe she took the brunt of that.
Yeah, they made her a real villain, right?
Yeah. Rosie O'Donnell used to, years ago, have a Sirius XM radio show that I loved. My mom and I both loved it. We would talk about it all the time.
I enjoy her as an actor. Mm-hmm. She had a heart attack. Spoiler alert.
In the show?
In the show. She survived, but it was so good. Really good.
Well, let's talk about what I'm watching.
Okay.
First up on Apple TV Plus is the show Roar.
I don't know anything about this.
I believe this came out last year in spring 2022. It is an 8-episode anthology series. Every episode is unique and stands alone. You can watch in any order, pick whichever one you want. And they are short, under 30-minute episodes. And I was trying to come up with the words to describe it, and I couldn't. And on Apple TV, they describe it as a genre-bending anthology series, and it's darkly comedic. So let me give you an example. The first episode stars Issa Rae, and it is called The Woman Who Disappeared. And in this episode, Issa Rae plays a Black female writer whose book is being optioned for what she thinks is a movie, but it turns out it's this digital project. This is a book about stories about her life. Mm-hmm. And in the digital version of this project, she's been erased from the narrative.
Oh.
And so in the show, she literally starts to disappear. Like she'll be talking to people and they can't hear her.
Oh.
And there's another episode where a woman solves her own murder.
Oh my gosh.
So
That sounds great.
It's like slightly science fiction.
Oh, no.
But it has, well, because
Don't sell it to me that way, girl.
I know, but like she's disappearing. She's
know.
come back from the dead. Oh. But it's got a great cast. Nicole Kidman is in an episode. Alison Brie is in an episode. Betty Gilpin. Mira Sayal. I don't know if you know who it is, but her episode's great. Carly Mensch. Are short. I do not need every single thing in my life to be an hour long.
Yeah.
Also on Apple TV Plus is the new show Shrinking, starring Jason Segel and Harrison Ford.
I really want to see that.
As of the recording of this, the first 2 episodes have dropped. They will now drop 1 episode every week.
Ugh.
I saw it compared to Ted Lasso and like the feeling you get when you watch it. Jason Segel plays a dude who's in the weeds of grief. He is not connecting with his teenage daughter. He himself is a therapist, and because he's going through it, he kind of develops this different way of connecting to his patients that is maybe a little bit unorthodox.
Oh.
It's really funny. The cast is fantastic. I'm super invested. I've only watched the first 2 episodes. I'm kind of annoyed that it's going to be week to week because I would have just kept going.
Yeah. It's in an hour long.
First episode's 37 minutes. The next 2 are both 30 minutes. So
okay.
Great. Love it.
Short and sweet, just for you.
I also started, and I've only watched the first episode, but Poker Face on Peacock, starring Natasha Lyonne, who I actually really enjoy.
So do I.
And
What's the premise of that show?
the premise of the show in the first episode is that she kind of like solves a murder that she's not really supposed to solve. And then because of that, she goes on the run. And then, so the first episode, like you see the murder, you see kind of her like working through it. And then the people who don't want her to know what happened, and she goes on the run. So she's then on the run. And my understanding is like someone dies every episode.
Oh.
Like someone in her life.
Oh.
But it's gritty. It's definitely not Shrinking. Or my next recommendation, she's like a cocktail waitress who lives in a trailer.
Yeah.
But I like her.
I'm into it. Like, that sounds like something I would totally watch.
It also stars Benjamin Bratt and Adrian Brody. Dasha Polanco, who was on Orange is the New Black. She
Was
plays
it
the
Natasha
inmate.
Lyonne, too?
Yeah. My next recommendation is a silly one, but they've rebooted Night Court.
I can't. I'm sorry. I can't. I don't know why. Does it have canned like laughter in it?
Well, that's a good question. It has laughter, and I was like, is this filmed in front of a live studio audience, or are they using a laugh track? I don't ever need laughter in a TV show.
I don't either.
It has laughter. Is this a sitcom on par with Abbott Elementary? It is not. Do I like to have a sitcom in my pocket to turn to every now and then? Yes, I do. So I've only watched the first 2 episodes. John Larroquette is in it.
Yeah.
He has returned. He's the only returning cast member. The judge is portraying the daughter of the judge on the original show.
Really?
So
Okay,
they've
interesting.
connected it. They've brought it back. It's in the same world. It's amusing. I don't think it's going to be award winning. I'm sure some people would say they hate it. I just like to have a sitcom in my pocket, y'all.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I tried to watch the reboot of that 70s show, which is like that 90s, show.
Uh-huh.
And I watched the first episode and it was like canned laughter throughout. I was like, I can't do it. I can't do it. I don't know why.
We have it on our list to watch that because my husband is such a huge fan of that 70s show. I actually didn't like that show.
Oh, really?
No, but
I never watched it regularly, so I don't know anything about it.
oh, I think I've probably seen every episode because of him. We may watch that, but my hopes are not high for that one. Although there are some cameos.
Are there?
Yeah, Ashton Kutcher's in it. Mila Kunis
really?
is in it. Yeah.
Oh, not that other guy though, right?
No. And finally, I am still deep in my West Wing rewatch. That show just brings me so much joy.
How many episodes a week do you watch of that?
I don't know.
One every day?
3 or 4, maybe. They're an hour
day?
long. No, a week.
Oh, well, a day, Megan. That's good.
We'll just enjoy it.
Well, you know,
And
do
then
what makes you feel good.
The nice thing about a rewatch is I know the episodes that I am never going to watch again because they make me uncomfortable to watch, and I'm just going to skip right past
Do you skip them?
I will.
Oh.
There's a couple episodes that I find very hard to watch. For West Wing fans, CJ going home to visit her father, I'm never watching those episodes again. Leo in the Woods, never watching that episode again. Action Night, Leo in his hotel room, never watching that again.
I've never watched that show. I think I've watched the pilot, perhaps.
Missing out.
Maybe I'll give it a run.
She's never going to.
You never know. I like politics, and I like complicated relationships.
It's so good.
Okay, let's move on to what we're reading. And Megan, I'm shocked.
Well, let me tell
only
you,
have one here.
I've read 8 books in the month of January.
Bravo.
3 that I would recommend, but 2 do not come out until much later in the year, April and May.
Are
And it's
you under some sort of like...
No, I'm not, but I don't want to recommend a book to you that you cannot buy
Got
for
it.
the next 4 or 5 months.
put
I'm
a
going
pin
to
in it
save
until-
them.
this summer and you'll tell.
However, this first book is not out yet, but it is coming out soon enough that I am comfortable telling you about it. You would hate this book?
Okay.
It is called The Immeasurable Depth of You. It is a supernatural YA novel by Maria Mora. And it deals with grief. And she does a really nice job of putting a trigger warning right up front and says, if this book is not for you right now, then it is not for you right now. I don't find it heavy to read, but it does deal with grief and self-harm and some family issues. But I enjoyed the hell out of it, and this book will be out on March 7th. I really like Maria Mora's writing. She is a person that I know on the internet. I put "know" in quotation marks. I really enjoyed her first book, which was very different, titled Fragile Remedy. This is a very different book, but I really enjoyed it.
Cool. Excellent. Did you finish Spare?
I did not.
Okay, let me talk about it because that's on... I didn't finish it either.
Okay.
I've actually thought it was kind of boring.
Okay.
It's like all bark, no bite. There was so much hype leading up to it.
Well, I think that is the problem. I think if you read it, the reason I haven't finished it is because I'm listening to it.
So am I.
There's like circumstances that I will listen to a book, and I haven't had many of those. I think it was a little overhyped. So you were expecting this like sensational National Enquirer
Yes.
level dirt.
Give me the tea.
I think the dirt they give is pretty sensational for a royal, for him to talk about his family that way.
Oh.
But I think this book did suffer a little bit from being overhyped, and the interview circuit was slightly overpublicized.
I am going to have to agree because I expected like to get into it. Give me all the... I mean, I'm listening about like him growing up, like, which is fine, and interesting, but my expectations were like, tell me about the fight between you and your brother. I want to know about it now. You know what I mean? So I'll finish it.
I think he's really honest about like, yeah, I grew up as a prince. Like my life wasn't terrible, but also like my
It was
mom died
terrible.
and no one helped me process that.
Yeah, that was very hard to listen to. I will have to say
Yeah.
that. And spoiler alert, he thought for a long time his mom wasn't dead. He
Yeah.
thought she was in hiding. And that is so tragic for a child.
Yeah.
And a real fail by his father.
What are we listening to?
Well, I'm going to tell you, season 2 just dropped of my favorite podcast right now, Back to the Beach with Kristen and Steven. And I see you making that face.
No, S2E1.
S2E1. Yeah. It was good.
And they're on season 2 of Laguna Beach.
Yeah, and what sucks is that there's only 2 seasons of Laguna Beach with like this cast.
Oh, then they'll go to something else. These two.
I thought, like, will they go to the hills? But I don't think so, because Kristen didn't come into the hills until, you know, kind of towards the end of that run of that show. So they just have a nice dynamic. You know, they're obviously very familiar with each other, you know, and they bring on guests who have been on the show or who were on the, you know, original. But I just enjoy the peek behind the curtain about how it all got put together.
You know, I would imagine they have sponsors on this show.
They do.
They must be doing pretty well. Look, Gilmore guys went to Bunhead Bros and Mazelgoys, and they're going to keep going. They're going to find a way to keep it going. That's my prediction.
They do break for a ton of commercials that I skip through just because I don't need to hear about HelloFresh again 40 times in an episode. So anyway,
However, if we ever have HelloFresh as an advertiser,
Hell
please
yeah.
listen to that whole thing.
yeah. My second one is a new podcast for me. It's called Broad Ideas with Rachel Bilson. Now, Rachel Bilson was on The OC. It's she and her best friend, very similar to our kind of show. But they have guests, and they just talk about everything. I enjoy it.
You know what I'm tired of?
What?
Celebrity podcasts.
I
Sit the
know.
hell down. You have enough money. Go do something else.
I think celebrities move to podcasts because they don't have any work.
Yeah, and it's easy, and they have a built-in audience. Of course, I would do it too. That's why they're all doing it. That's why every housewife has a podcast.
Yeah.
But as a indie podcaster who doesn't have a built-in celebrity audience, I find it highly annoying.
I understand. It's very hard because we're not gonna ever, not say ever, we're not gonna chart at number 1 ever because we have.
Is Dak Shepard that great of an interviewer, or is he just Dak Shepard married to Kristen Bell? I do think that's unfair. I think he's entertaining to listen to. And one of the things I really like about him is he does his research before those interviews.
Yes.
And he has like a memory like a steel trap, so he remembers all these things. That's unfair. But I also think they shot to the top.
Yeah.
Partially because of who they are.
Yes, I hear you there, but they have good guests on that show too.
Yeah, because he's a celebrity. And
I know.
it's easy to be like, hey, bro, can you come be on my show? You were at my house yesterday.
I know. Now, do I think he is a great interviewer? He's gotten a lot better. That show was rough when it first started, and I listened from like go.
Me too.
And it talks about this all the time. Like, he really took the page out of the Howard Stern because Howard Stern is an excellent interviewer who also does a ton of research on his guests before they come in. So like he knows, like, it's this easy conversation. He's pulling from a wealth of knowledge, and Dax is kind of the same way. But I hear you. He's got a celebrity attachment.
Well,
Complaints from the podcast department here.
I, on the advice of a listener, tried a new podcast called Hey Dude, the 90s Called, which is a celebrity podcast
Yeah, it
hosted
is.
by Christine Taylor and David Lasher, who co-starred in the 90s Nickelodeon hit Hey Dude show that I loved, actually. The first episode's like an intro, and it's a lot of like reminiscing, like, oh, when we were on Hey Dude. But then they do like a Brady Bunch reunion, a very Brady reunion, because
Because she
Christine-
played Jan, right?
She played Marsha.
She played Marsha. She looks just like her.
She does. And then they do a White Squall reunion.
I don't know what White Squall is.
It's a 90s movie. It had Ryan Phillippe, and I actually think David Lasher might have been in that movie.
Is Christine Taylor still married to Ben?
Well, that's the question I had. And today's episode is Ben Stiller. February 2022, Stiller and Taylor are officially reconciled.
Okay.
Over time, it evolved. We were separated and got back together, and we're happy about that. One of the things that came out of the pandemic. But the one podcast complaint I have is if you are a podcaster and you just drop your ads, if all of a sudden, like,
Oh, yeah.
and actually, you know who does this a lot? Dak Shepard. They don't build ad breaks into their interviews.
that, yeah.
And so they'll just kind of stop in the middle of a sentence. There are a lot of very successful podcasts that do this. build an ad break into your talk,
Give me
folks.
like a signal, ring a bell or something that knows that we're transitioning into an ad
And
break.
sometimes like the music will play, but it's not a natural transition. They just like try and find an opening in the conversation to shove it in. I really don't like that. Call out your ads, pause for them. Just,
I hear you. I 100% hear you.
it feels unproduced to me. And I don't like it. And I'm talking successful money-making podcast.
Yeah. Get a better producer.
I listened to Holly Madison's episode of the Something Was Wrong podcast. Now, Something Was Wrong is in its 15th season.
Blows my mind.
They should, because I feel like that's only like a several-year-old podcast.
Right. So she must be doing like several seasons per year. And I know that she's very popular now. She came from the blogging world.
Yes, I know. She had an advertisement in Times Square.
Get out. Good for her. Tiffany is her name, right?
Tiffany Reese, yes. Now, Holly Madison's episode is episode 1 of season 15. If you have not read her book, Down the Rabbit Hole, this is a very quick, condensed 1-hour version of her rise to being one of Hef's girlfriend through her time in the house on the show Girls Next Door. It's told more through the lens this season, is a lot about sexual abuse survivors. Now, the only person who you hear speak on this episode is Holly Madison. That's not an interview. It's her telling her story.
Is Tiffany not interviewing?
There's like an intro from Tiffany, but it's not now Tiffany may have conducted an interview, but there's none of Tiffany's voice throughout the episode.
Okay.
I was very familiar with Holly Madison's story. This is not new information. I've always been a fan of Holly Madison.
Me too.
I love The Girls Next Door. I read both of her books. She's just kind of like a Disney mom now. But again, if you haven't read her book, this is a great condensed version of what life was like and how it was not like all that it seemed on The Girls Next Door.
Well, I told you a couple months ago when I watched The Secrets of Playboy, her interviews were very interesting. I thought were darker than her actual book, especially when you have a ton of other women who have talked about their experience with Hugh Hefner as well, so I definitely want to listen to that. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. I listened to this podcast the first season, and it was like a serial podcast where they talked about like some sort of like incident.
And now I think it has changed. And at least season 15, every episode is about a different person
Oh, interesting.
on a theme. I think it's sexual abuse survival.
Got it. Okay. And is it all celebrities, or are they talking with like...
It is not all celebrities because the next 2 names, there's 3 episodes of season 15 out as of today, are not familiar to me.
Okay.
I just want to let you know what I'm going to be listening to next.
Tell me.
Which is a podcast called Bone Mary Berry.
That sounds dirty.
A play on F, Marry, Kill.
Okay.
It is a scripted podcast. I loved rom-com pods. There were 3 seasons.
remember.
It's a scripted rom-com podcast. I found them super enjoyable. This is a Dear Media podcast, but it is from the creators of rom-com pods. And I'm just looking forward to that. It's what I need in my podcast feed.
Awesome. Fantastic.
All right, let's take a quick break. As always, we'd love for you to share what you're reading, watching, and listening to. You can email us. You can share it on Instagram. Let us know. Let's take a quick break and come right back with Megan and Wendy Approved. We're back with Megan and Wendy Approved, where we each share something we've been using and loving. I'm envious that you have this product. Tell me about your product.
My product comes courtesy of my 15-year-old.
I figured because it's like TikTok viral.
Yeah, I think she came to me with a list of hair products that she wanted to buy, which I'm sure she found on TikTok. And
1000%.
I was like, sure, okay, whatever. And one of the products is from a brand called Dae, D-A-E, and it's the Prickly Pear Hair Oil. And I don't use a ton of hair oil in my hair because my hair is short. It is very fine. Like even the smallest amount will make it look oily. But the scent of this hair oil knocks me out. It is so good. Like I want to take a bath in it. I love it so much. And I was just reading on the directions. It says that you can use it on dry areas of your skin. So now I got something to use it for. I have to get my own because I find myself creeping into her bathroom every morning just to get a little
Yeah.
it smells so good.
Well, Dae is an influencer brand. It's created by influencer Amber Fillerup. People really like it. It is on my list to try out at some point.
It's not cheap. It was like this hair oil is like $36, I think. But I think that's on par with any kind of like Way or
Sure.
a high-end
High-end hair
brand.
product.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It smells good.
Well, mine could not be more different.
2 weeks in a row, yo.
I got candy again, and it is the Russell Stover Chocolate Heart. Now, let me tell you, what I'm talking about is the small chocolate heart that is $1.29 in Target in a Walgreens. It has 3 pieces of chocolate inside of it. It has a caramel, it has a coconut, and it has a vanilla cream, the one I bought. It is just like the perfect size little chocolate box treat because I can eat 3 chocolates in a sitting.
Sure.
It's $1.29. I'm going to go buy 5 more. So I've got little chocolate treats sitting in my pantry. It was an impulse purchase in Target. It was delicious. I enjoyed it. The packaging's cute.
I love Russell Stover, especially like their chocolate covered marshmallows. Like, and it's like a big size marshmallow that's sold in a single package.
Yes.
You know, especially this time of year.
Back in our YouTube days, we did
Yes, we did.
chocolate marshmallow taste test of the many flavors. But buy yourself a chocolate heart.
Okay, I'm going to.
I'm deep in the Valentine candy this week. And last week, this month, currently.
Through Easter.
Right? They, at Target and at the drugstore, they have like the beginnings of Easter candy,
Yeah, it's crazy.
but they don't have my favorite out yet.
Wait, let me. Those
Hershey chocolate
coated
eggs.
things. Yeah.
Wendy hates them, but they have the Cadbury eggs,
The only cheap egg you can find.
right? Coming soon. I've got my eagle eyes on the candy
Yeah, I
section
know. I bet you
because they're
do.
going to clear out that Valentine candy and in's going to come Easter.
Well, I did see like a small little section of Easter candy at Target already. Like the tiniest little space for it.
Yeah.
I'm like, why is it out so early?
Yeah.
I'm going to be out of the country at Easter time. So I'm going to have to stock up before.
Well, yeah, it's going to be gone by Easter anyway.
I know.
All right. Thank you for listening to this episode of Long Story Short, the podcast. Do not click away, freeze, stop, open up your Apple Podcast app, leave a 5-star rating and a review for a Long Story Short. We need your reviews. We appreciate you. Thanks for listening. Have a great week. Come see us on Instagram. Bye.
Bye.